Hey everyone, happy Thanksgiving. I hope you guys are feasting on some turkey right now during your Thanksgiving lunch or dinner feast meal. Anyways, I am back for another Great League video today. This time I'm running a pretty meta team consisting of Nidoqueen, Mandibuzz, and defense form Deoxys. I just built this Mandibuzz. I finally got enough Volibee XL candy with the last couple egg events. I haven't really ever been super big of an egg hatcher, but I was finally able to get enough Volibee candy to build this Great League one. So I am using it in action, trying to see how I will do with it. Anyways, we're going to be getting into this first battle. We have the Nidoqueen mirror, and something that I didn't realize for a long time was that Shadow Pokemon don't um, win CMP over the normal form of that same Pokemon if the normal form has a higher attack. So my 11 or 12 attack Nidoqueen usually wins CMP. But my opponent makes a catch onto Jellicent, which I don't really know if I agree with because you're catching a debuff move, and I also have a very hard answer to Jellicent here. And I'm going to be able to throw a Dark Pulse and farm all the way down. The moveset I'm running with Mandibuzz is Snarl, Dark Pulse, and Aerial Ace. I'm running Dark Pulse for the extra damage, and Snarl over Air Slash just because I think Air Slash is a relatively weak move, especially on Mandibuzz. It just doesn't do that much. And especially with me having poison coverage, I don't really need the flying coverage because I already cover grasses pretty hard. Anyways, this opponent has Azumarill in the back. So this is a double water team, and I'm going to rip it apart. DD has Thunderbolt coverage. Nidoqueen is going to be doing really well against Azumarill, and then Mandibuzz is going to be doing really good against Jellicent. So this game is on lockdown. My opponent's biggest mistake was trying to catch an Earth Power, especially since I baited too. So that's going to be a GG. I can just farm down the Azu, and we're going to take a very nice game 1 victory. Anyways, getting into this next match here, we have Nidoqueen on lead with Umbreon. Umbreon is good. You can very, very easily win this matchup as long as you invest a shield. And the Zero Shield, I think, is also relatively close, pretty IV dependent. But usually I think you can win most shield or all shield scenarios. I'm going to let this first move go. If it's a Psychic, I can live it. I think 2 Dark Pulses KOs sometimes. It's going to be 3 foul plays, but then it is 2 Psychics, so 1 Psychic does not KO, I don't think. I'm actually going to shield the second Dark Pulse here, and at this point I can throw a Poison Fang and then just farm all the way down. Do I undercharge this at all? Okay, I don't risk it, and at this point I'm going to farm down. Probably could have farmed up a little bit more, realizing that my opponent has Dark Pulse. Anyways, Kofa is coming in. This team does really well against Ghost types in the back, because usually it ends up getting a line on Mandibuzz. But these Ghost types, if they're in the lead, you're going to struggle quite a bit, except for Trevenant. So, because Nidoqueen and Defense Deoxys are both pretty weak to Ghost types, so that's why I have Mandibuzz in there. Definitely could make a case to run Mandibuzz in the lead, but I don't know. Also, for these battles, I did have a Rock Slide for Deoxys, but later I switched to Thunderbolt and had a lot more success with it, not really needing Rock Slide for anything with this team comp, so that's why I switched it. Anyways, my opponent definitely does not see that I am throwing a Psycho Boost. I think after throwing the Rock Slide, my opponent thought I didn't have Psycho Boost. Anyways, this battle is against Cochinomum. I don't know if any of you guys spotted that, but I'm absolutely getting walled in the lead. Swampert is not what you want to see with this team. And I swap into DD. I probably didn't need to, depending on what my opponent has in the back. Because with Swampert, you probably don't have Azu in the back. You probably have something like a Skarmory. So let's see if this swap ended up being bad. I do try to go for the Rock Slide to get a shield. I don't want to debuff myself, and I think Cochino knows that because he lets it go. I would have KO'd it if he if I just went for a Psycho Boost. So now I'm not even winning the lead, and things are not looking incredible. I'm probably gonna come in here and farm down with Mandibuzz. Yeah, this is Snarl farm down range, even though it is relatively okay in the red. So I'm gonna have to take a Hydro Cannon here, but it's not doing a whole lot of damage because it's Mandibuzz. So let's see what my opponent has in the back. He has Nidoqueen, so double ground. I think this is pretty good coverage though, because like ground types are weak to water, weak to grass, but poison covers the grass type weakness, and then on Swampert, water covers the water type weakness. So what else are you going to be weak to? You're not weak to electric. I don't know. Nido is mainly weak to like ground types, so and Swampert has coverage on it. So yeah, there's the Skarmory in the back. I am up a shield, but it doesn't matter because Nidoqueen doesn't have Stone Edge. And if you look here real quick, after I throw this Earth Power, you'll see, and he gets a free Air Slash through on bad timing. Earth Power doesn't even do half. It does like 35%, and Poison Jab does nothing, so I'm going to lose this, even though Nido had a shield up in the back. I was expecting my opponent to have Skarmory, right? So, not going to be able to pull that off just quite. But that's okay. Kuchinamo, very good battler. Don't know if they tanked over Go Battle Day, because like Kuchino's a lot better than a 2800 rated player, which is the range that I am currently in. So, I don't know. Maybe they went on a pretty cold spell. I'm not sure. I think it's a girl, but I might be wrong. Anyways, we have a very nice lead here with Bastiodon. Even though these poison jabs are triple resisted, I'm resisting all of the rock moves, and Earth Power is going to be double super effective. So my opponent shields up the first one. Great call. My opponent shields up the second one, so I'm up 2 shields now, and I'm obviously going to have to respect the flamethrower. Sorry, I have to adjust myself. Okay, my opponent comes in. I think that's a Sableye in the back. Being up a shield here, this is a very, very favorable. I can easily tank a return. I can actually tank a return and a foul play. So at this point, I can very, very safely let this go through. I know it's a return. Obviously, you wouldn't be baiting because I have no reason to shield. But at this point, I'm going to farm up quite a bit extra. I think I'd throw 5 because that gets there before my opponent gets to their 8th or 9th Shadow Claw to get to a second return. And now I think my opponent should come back with a Bastiodon, and then safe to assume he has Medicham in the back. So if that's the case, this game is over. Ooh, and I actually switch after throwing a couple Snarls, so I get some extra energy, come in, throw the Earth Power. I thought that was going to KO, or at least get it a little bit lower than it was at. I don't have Shadow Nidoqueen though, so that's another thing. My opponent does farm me down with Medicham, but at this point I can come in, throw 2 Aerial Aces, and then DD is just there for some cleanup. This is a good game. My opponent doesn't realize yet because he hasn't seen my last Pokemon, but this is GG. I think the only win con there for my opponent is like if I have an Obstagoon or something, like a double dark, which I could very well run. But I don't, and I'm going to be able to pick up the win. So this team is a little weak to stuff like Galv in the back, because Galv beats my back Pokemon, loses to the lead, but a lot of Galvs you see in the lead. So pretty good synergy. My only downside with this team is it is weak to Ghosts if your Mandy is not aligned with it. And that's really, I'd say, my only negative with this team. So we pick up a really, really, really nice lead on a Shadow Granbull. My opponent comes in with Politoed, and this is 2 Mono-type Pokemon, so a Water type and a Fairy type. So my opponent needs a lot of coverage in the back, you know, something to beat. Poison types, not really, because you probably have 2 poison answers in the back, but like steel types, I guess, like a Ferrothorn would kind of shred this team. So you definitely need something for that, or you just don't care about Ferrothorn with this team. So I'm going to shield the next Weather Ball. I think at this point I'm committing to a farm down. I really, really need Switch here, or else I'm going to be aligned with my Mandibuzz on to Granbull, and that is not what I want. So going to shield this next move. I am able to get a counter through, so this is either going to let me get to another move. Oh, my opponent switches into a Scavalier, so he doesn't even really attempt to wind switch there. He doesn't let me take him out. I think he's probably trying to save Politoed for a sack swap. And my opponent doesn't even have Mega Horn. He has Acid Spray. So this game is basically wraps. Nothing my opponent has is going to be super effective against me, assuming that you have Drill Run instead of Acid Spray. So at this point, I can just assume that this is another spray, and these counters are not going to be threatening me just quite enough. So I'm going to farm up to 100 energy. Oh, I'm actually going to farm down. Look at me having my counts. And now the shields are down, I can throw one Aerial Ace. It's going to do a chunk, and I'm just going to switch into Nidoqueen. And my opponent knows that this game is over. He actually doesn't even resign. He lets me throw the Poison Fang. And, oh, he did resign, but it was as I was throwing my move. Anyways, that is going to be a GG. Let's see how the set turned out to be. It ended up being a 3-2, and I took one of those battles out of the set just because I got hard countered. It was not a very fun battle to watch, but let's get into the next set here. Scrafty lead, very, very good. Definitely what you want to see in the lead against Nidoqueen. All the fighters and charmers, very, very good for Nidoqueen to see. My opponent is staying in though, so I'm thinking that he might be weak in the back to a Nidoqueen. I'm going to farm up just before he gets to his second foul play, take it out. Let's see what my opponent comes in with. It is a Shadow Nidoqueen of his own, and he is going to throw the Poison Fang because he doesn't want to have to shield and Earth Power. This Poison Fang actually does not KO, and I'm at 1 HP. I'm going to undercharge this Earth Power, and it KOs. I was so shocked that my opponent didn't shield, and he had a Skarmory in the back. I don't know why you don't just come into Skarmory on the Nidoqueen. Because like that way you can tank a Poison Fang just fine. You can tank an Earth Power just fine, and have play for the rest of my squad. Anyways, after I took the Nidoqueen out, I just swapped into Mandibuzz blindly to see what my opponent had. Because I didn't want to get farmed down, but like either way, I have two Pokemon in the back. There's nothing my opponent could do, even with a little energy advantage, especially with shields up. So I'm gonna throw these Dark Pulses. I actually get both shields, and at this point, my switch timer is up. I can come into DD, and then my opponent knows that this game is over, so he is gonna concede the match. This next matchup, we have a Bastiodon lead. Very, very, very good for this team, and I think I make a misplay here. I throw the Poison Fang onto the Trevenant before swapping into Mandibuzz. This is not great, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to farm up to right where he gets to the Shadow Ball, and I'm going to switch into my Mandibuzz right then, just to soak some of the damage. My opponent actually tries to bait with Seed Bomb. So this reveals that my opponent does like to bait, and this also helps because I only have to take 2 moves. Alright, my opponent comes back in with Bastiodon. Obviously, you can't bait with this thing, but, maybe with the last Pokemon, I can call a couple baits, but a Smackdown gets through, which isn't great. I'm still going to be able to get a few Dark Pulses off. The Smackdown getting through doesn't prevent me from getting to this third Dark Pulse, so I don't have to be too upset about it. Actually, the game mechanics are intended to have those fast moves always go through when there is when the fast moves sync up. There's always supposed to be one that gets through on a charge move being thrown, but sometimes fast move denial happens, which shouldn't be in the game, and that causes people to not get moves through, which is super frustrating and something that the game needs fixing on. Anyways, my opponent has Medicham in the back, so it doesn't matter really how the outcome of this game went because I have DD. DD has a really good matchup against Medicham and Bastiodon. Nidoqueen has a very good matchup against DD and Medicham and Bastiodon, so the game is over nonetheless. We're going to take that win. Next matchup here, we have Umbreon on the lead. Most of my games with Nidoqueen lead, I had pretty positive leads. I did have a Swampert lead. I did have a I think maybe I had a Skarmory lead, but I don't think I saw any Skarmory. Let's see what else could be bad for that. I did see a couple G-Fisk though, so that is something you have to watch out for. Let's see what my opponent brought in. He brought in a defense Deoxys, which is pretty okay for me. I can just charge up to a Dark Pulse. My opponent did get a little bit of an energy head start, so he might be at a Thunderbolt. Yeah, Thunderbolt coming through does about half of my health. At this point, I can overfarm just a little bit and get this Dark Pulse off. I probably could have overfarmed one more, but I think what I was thinking at the time was like, I don't want to go over 100 energy, even though it would have been barely. My opponent comes in with a Alolan Ninetales, and actually, it would have been better if I got one more Snarl through on the DD, because I would have been able to get to another Aerial Ace. It doesn't really matter, though. I have Nidoqueen, and my opponent has Alolan Ninetales and Bastiodon. I still have my DD alive. Or no, not Bastiodon. He has Umbreon. It's something he switched out of lead for, though. So I'm going to shield up the foul play. I don't know if that's the right call. Makes me down 2 shields. Maybe foul play wouldn't KO, but I think it would. So at this point, I'm going to be able to get to 2 Poison Fangs. That is why I shielded, just so I can at least guarantee that I get 1 shield back. I actually think my opponent shielded both because he now doesn't have any shields. I know that DD is going to be able to live 2 foul plays and probably farm down the Umbreon. But my opponent comes back in with Alolan Ninetales. This is going to be a pretty close matchup here. Going to throw the Psycho Boost. Is this going to be enough to KO? It is not, but 1 counter afterward is, so I don't take the charm damage. And I'm going to be able to get this Psycho Boost off. And let's see. It's probably not going to KO an Umbreon, but the counter damage will come through. And then Nidoqueen is going to be able to farm down. Super duper close game, but we were barely able to pull through right before my opponent is able to get to another charge move. And we have an Obstagoon lead, so another very, very good lead for this team. All the fighter leads have been pretty prevalent, and I think the reason that all these fighter leads are in the Great League is because everybody is trying to counter G-Fisk. People are running Scrafty and Obstagoon to take on leads like Trevenant, like Scrafty, and stuff like that. My opponent has a Drapion, so this is 2 dark Pokemon so far, double dark. This could either be double dark, double poison. This could be I don't know what happened to my voice box there. This could be triple dark. This could be, I don't know. There could be a lot of things in the back here, because Obstagoon and Drapion have pretty good coverage, because Drapion covers for the Charmers and the fighters, so you just need something for fighters. So there could be a Azu, there could be a Psychic type in the back, there could be another Poison type in the back. You never know. But at this point, with the dropped defense, I'm able to take out this Drapion with Mandibuzz, have a little bit of energy. Nope, actually no energy in the back. But my opponent has come back in with Obstagoon, which is really, really interesting. And I'm trying to figure out what my opponent might have in the back, considering that he came in with Obstagoon. I am going to throw these 2 Aerial Aces here, and since this is the Great League, they're definitely going to be able to take out this Obstagoon. My opponent shields here, so I'm going to pull a switch into Nidoqueen. Actually going to be able to snipe it down. Poison Fang going to be able to take out this Obstagoon, and my opponent has Azu in the back. I'm so surprised that my opponent, first of all, stayed in with Obstagoon, and second of all, actually shielded an Aerial Ace. I don't know what he was thinking, but it's going to be a win for me, so I will take it. My opponent, this match, Trevenant as a safe swap, Azu in the lead. This Azu Trevenant core has kind of been running around a little bit in the Great League, and this team is just very well equipped to take it down. Nidoqueen and Mandibuzz beat Trevenant, Nidoqueen and D beat Azu, and usually these teams run like a flyer in the back, so most Pokemon on this team have pretty good flyer coverage, Nidoqueen with an exception against Skarmory. So my opponent comes back in with the Azu after I win switch. That is absolutely to be expected. Since I'm loaded on energy here, I'm just going to dump off a couple Aerial Aces. What I could end up doing is I could farm up a little bit extra energy and get aggressive and pull a switch. Or I can just throw another Aerial Ace, as I'm doing right now, and then I'm going to pull a switch into Deoxys. I definitely think that I could have let Mandibuzz go down, considering it's pretty useless, and it's in a pretty low health range with no energy, so there's not really much of a reason to switch out after throwing the Aerial Ace. I definitely could have banked the move and then thrown, banked the move and then switch, so definitely a misplay there on my part. Let's see if it's going to cost me the game or not. But I'm going to farm up a ton of energy here with Deoxys. Throw a Psycho Boost. Is this going to be getting a shield? It is not going to be getting a shield. My opponent has Altaria. I'm just going to pull a switch into Nidoqueen. And this game is over because Nidoqueen beats the Altaria beats Altaria in the one shield pretty consistently. So just going to throw, I think I get to 3 Poison Fangs before they get to 2 Sky Attacks. Maybe, I think might be energy dependent, or like whether or not I can get a Poison Jab through. Anyways, my opponent was able to throw a Sky Attack. It was a race to the charge move, and I'm able to get to the Poison Fang. I don't know if my opponent needed to overfarm because of the 2 Pokemon I have the back, but either way, I'm going to be able to take that game. All right, we have a Tropius lead. Really, really, really good lead for this team. And my opponent safe switches into Vigoroth. There's a pretty good safe switch in this meta, but not when I have DD. Also, Nidoqueen beats Vigoroth pretty hard as well. So this team comp by my opponent is seeming to get pretty hard countered by myself. So I'm going to throw a Thunderbolt right before he gets his 3rd Body Slam, just so I come out of this matchup with not too much health. I'm going to throw a Thunderbolt and a Psycho Boost. And my thought process here is, since I have 2 answers to Tropius in the back, I'm going to throw this Psycho Boost. And what I'm going to do after this is I'm going to pull a switch into, I think, Mandibuzz. That way I can save DD as a potential sack swap. My opponent has G-Fisk in the back, and that's really, really nice for this team. Keeping the G-Fisk away from my Nidoqueen. Basically, my goal here in this matchup is to try and get a shield advantage. I say that as I'm shielding up a Rock Slide. Gonna throw another Dark Pulse here, trying to get this thing low. And let's see if my opponent shields. He is going to invest a shield. I was thinking about baiting Aerial Ace, but it's a really risky bait because if they don't shield, you're barely getting any damage off, and puts you in a little bit of a hole. So gonna let this next Rock Slide go, basically just trying to mirror shields here. Gonna farm up a little bit extra because I know my opponent is pretty energy dry. So gonna throw this Dark Pulse here, try and get another shield. My opponent is gonna let it go. And at this point, I am trying to catch a Rock Slide on DD, but my opponent is very keen. Realizes that the sack swap is coming and is going to farm me down. But I come back in with Mandibuzz, and my opponent gets a little bit greedy and is going to have to shield an Aerial Ace. At this point, he's going to have to throw a Rock Slide, and I have to get to an Earth Power on Nidoqueen, but my opponent comes into Tropius,
gives me all of this energy, and that's going to be GG. I think I would have been able to get to an Earth Power before my opponent got to a Rock Slide and an Earthquake, since I had a shield, so either way the game was pretty much over. But anyways, going to be able to take that match. We have 2 left. Let's see how these go. I'm currently 3-0. We have a Venusaur lead. Good lead. Not necessarily one you need to swap out of, but I will take it. Sableye is very, very, very bad against Mandibuzz. I think that's probably one of the reasons why I have Mandibuzz in the back on this team, is because those Sableye safe switches are everywhere, and Mandibuzz just absolutely walls them. Also, Nidoqueen is a pretty good lead for people to safe swap Sableye into, so that's why I'm running Mandy in the back. It would make sense for you to run Mandibuzz in the lead on a team like this, because I am double weak to Ghost in the back. So, I mean, another idea for a team comp with these same 3 Pokemon is you run Mandibuzz in the lead, and then any neutral or bad lead that's not a Ghost type, you can safe swap Defense Deoxys and try and lure out any answer to a Nidoqueen, and then you can come in with Mandibuzz and try and sweep in the back. But that is not how I am running the team. I'm actually running, I don't know why I'm tired. I guess it's 11:30 at night when I'm recording this, but I'm running this team a little bit differently, kind of more like a balanced team that gets core broken by Ghost types. You're not going to be able to get to another move against this G-Fisk, but that Earth Power did a lot of damage. At this point, I'm going to come in with Mandibuzz because I can't get farmed down at this health range, even though I'm at like 5 to 10% health. But at this point, Defense Deoxys can just play cleanup and take out the remaining Pokemon. Alright, we're getting into the last match here. This is for the 5-0. We have Sableye on the lead. This is probably the last thing you want to see on this team, since I am double weak to most Ghost types, including Sableye. What I'm going to do, build up to the Earth Power and bait the Poison Fang, but my opponent throws at the CMP tie. Very keen move by my opponent, and I think they live in Earth Power and are able to farm down either way. But I tried to bait, and now I'm just not in a great spot. My opponent gets like 5 or 6 free Shadow Claws through, so is able to farm me down. It has a ton of extra energy. Another thing I do here is I shield up the return, so I have now given my opponent switch and shield advantage. This game is not looking the best. My opponent has an Azu answer for my Mandibuzz, but there is a little bit of hope here. My opponent is staying in on this Azu against the DD, and he lets the Thunderbolt go through. That is huge for me. If there's any shred of hope for me pulling off a win, that is going to be the deciding factor. This Medicham is going to come in, throw some Ice Punches. I see why my opponent stayed in just a little bit. I think he stayed a little bit too long. But DD has a really dominant matchup against Medicham, so it makes sense to stay in for a little bit. But I think that just taking the bad matchup and then keeping the Azu aligned with Medicham is the better move here, because what I can do now is I can farm up some extra energy. Unfortunately, I am going to have to take this Ice Punch, throw the Aerial Ace here. It doesn't really matter if it KOs. It's probably better if it doesn't KO now, because I can farm down. It leaves my opponent with 1 HP, but now my opponent comes in with Azu. I'm going to throw an Aerial Ace here. It's going to do a little bit of damage. Going to try and get to another one, but my opponent throws just before. So this is a really tough match now. We are evened up on shields, and I'm going to have to play perfect gameplay here. I shield up the Ice Beam, and now I'm assuming that my opponent is at 0 energy after the Ice Beam. I throw 7 counters, which is right before my opponent gets to an Ice Beam. I have to pray that I get the CMP tie here. I get the CMP tie here, and now we have to pray again that this Psycho Boost is going to be enough to take out the Azu, and it is. and I'm able to take out the Medicham as well. So I had to play as precisely as I humanly could there to pull off the dub, but we achieved the 5-0, and that's going to give me a bunch of rating. So this team did really, really well for me. I recommend it. If you want to run this team more like ABB style, you can definitely put Mandibuzz in the lead and have a little bit more success. But anyways, thank you guys so much for watching this video. I hope you guys enjoy your Thanksgiving, and make sure to feast on some turkey for me. Anyways, have a good one, guys. I'll see you in the next one. Peace.